So, Telegram's definitely at a crossroads right now. Over in Europe, regulators are really cracking down, and that's seriously testing whether the platform can actually stick around for the long run. Telegram's founder, Pavel Durov, has long warned that regulations like the EU's Digital Services Act could open the door to censorship and mass surveillance of private messages. He argues that while these laws are meant to make companies more accountable, they might actually end up chipping away at the very privacy protections users depend on. Alright, so late last year, in 2024, Telegram actually made a pretty significant change in how it deals with law enforcement. They updated their terms of service, basically saying they'd now share the IP addresses and phone numbers of suspects, but only if they receive a valid court order. Now, Telegram was super quick to emphasize that they still won't disclose the asterisk content of private messages. They're sticking to their guns that end-to-end encryption for chats remains completely intact. But even with those concessions, Durov's drawn a really clear line on encryption backdoors. He's publicly said that Telegram would rather just leave a market completely than compromise its encryption by building in backdoors for the authorities. Alright, so Telegram's user numbers are just soaring, even with all the regulatory pushback it's been getting. The platform actually hit over 950 million monthly active users back in July of 2024, and then, get this, it zoomed past 1 billion by March of 2025. Alright, so Telegram recently made a big move, taking back control of the Ton blockchain. This really shows they're trying to branch out way beyond just messaging these days. This takeover, set for May 2026, is going to make Telegram the biggest player, the largest validator on the open network. And they're totally banking on their massive user base to really get more people into blockchain. Now, this whole shift, this turnaround, comes after a pretty dramatic moment back in 2020. That's when the SEC basically forced Telegram to cough up $1.22 billion back to Gram token investors, putting an end to their first try at an initial token offering. So, looking ahead, there's a big inflation vote coming up in June 2026. That's going to decide the long-term plan for how new tokens will be created, especially now with Telegram basically running the show. Telegram's future? It's really up in the air right now. They're dealing with all sorts of growing demands from regulators, but at the same time, they're dead set on sticking to their encryption principles. How they manage to balance these two opposing forces isn't just going to decide what happens to asterisk them, but it's also going to heavily influence the broader conversation we're all having about privacy and security in this digital age.